on. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Dragon and welcome back to Vox Adventures. As you can see, we've got a thunderstorm going on in Spawn. Kind of creepy. Oh, where am I? Oh. Huh. Oh, jeez. So, what are we going to talk about today? I don't know, give me a moment. Okay, so, let's think of a subject to talk about. Well, when I started reading George Lucas' Life today, it's pretty good so far. With being a biography, it might be either a long read or a short read. I think I might be finished it in 5 days. I mean, it's a good book. George Lucas is a good man and he gets a bad rap a lot of the time. He's a good creator. Okay, maybe that's a bit too far back. What the? Are you gonna beat me to death with a shell? The interesting thing about Star Wars is that it was made because, well, George Lucas couldn't get the rights to Flash Gordon. Dino De Laurentiis had the rights to that, and, well, let me put it this way. First, Star Wars A New Hope came out in theaters in 1977. Flash Gordon came out in theaters in 1980. If it took Dino that long to get the movie made, maybe they should have just given it to George instead. Taken the rights from Dino and given them to George. But if they had done that, we wouldn't have Star Wars. Flash Gordon is something I was introduced to at a young age. Not the movie specifically, but the franchise. I was introduced, I watched the animated series from the 90s on Teletoon when I was a kid. Oh my god, what's going on here? Yes. OBS froze and no movement from either the camera or the game, so there you go. Do the early days have some problems for the franchise? Well, yeah. I mean, the villain Ming the Merciless is a pretty obvious Yellow Peril villain. And the fact that his skin is quite literally yellow would, well, it's a very dated thing, a very dated way to portray people of Asian descent. So later on, I think maybe during Alex Raymond's tenure, Alex Raymond was the creator of Flash Gordon. Ming and all of his other inhabitants of Mongol like him were made right. So, like looking like someone of European descent. So you've got Baron, Aura, Ming. They all basically changed skin color, and I hypothesized that this might have been because of World War II. From what I've read, Mingla mercenaries took on Hitler-esque characteristics. So while the name, he might have obtained the name Ming, and had, you know, the face on hair that makes him look like a yellow peril villain. You know, that racist thing. I don't know, he ended up becoming like a bizarre combination of Fu Manchu and Hitler. Not that I want to even conjecture what that would be. I mean, it's not too alien a look. Because let's look at it this way. In the 1930s, let's see, as I said, in the 1930s, that was basically the way Asian people were drawn. They were drawn with yellow skin. Is it racist? Yes, but it's not too alien, and neither is having skin like mine. When I look at later adaptations, like the miniseries, the comic book miniseries Marvel did in the 80s, where they had grey skin, it actually works a whole lot better. Even Filmation's series, the first season being among the most faithful adaptations, changed Ming's skin to green. And the series I watched as a kid likewise gave them green skin. Oh, jeez. Oh, and on the case of the whole gray skin for the Marvel Comics miniseries, for the Marvel comic miniseries of comics. The Hawkmen got the gray skin too because they were just they had what was considered a human skin tone. Voltan, if I recall correctly, I think he was portrayed with brown skin. And later on he was made white. Yeah. I don't know if he was supposed to be brown or black. I don't know what was going on there. Thank God he wasn't portrayed with the features of blackface. Yeah, thank God. Otherwise I wouldn't be reading that. Well, okay, to be fair, if it was done today and it was in blackface, I would not be reading it. Yeah, that is just no, 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 no. There's things that don't really age well. Really don't age well. And so you just have to remember it's a product of the time that whatever it was created in. But Voltan going from having brown skin to having white skin, I mean, if I were to do an adaptation of Flash Gordon, I'd have Ming be green and others be grey. Now, the Lion Men you don't really need to change because their skin's portrayed as being the same color as their fur. Don't know what sense that makes. Oh, jeez. Sun definitely got the short end of the stick in the Dino De Laurentiis film. He was turned into a regular guy and got killed off quite quickly. It's actually quite funny. Star Wars was originally Star Wars was created because George Lucas couldn't get the rights to Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon was created because I can't remember either. I think the paper, King Syndicates or whatever, couldn't get the rights to John Carter of Mars. So there you go. Yeah, Edgar Rice Burroughs series is pretty much one of the fountains of modern science fiction. Superman owes his existence to the series. Star Wars, Flash Gordon. It's quite fascinating, really. Now, of course, a protagonist with the name John C. wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last time Edgar Rice Burroughs used such a character, created such a character. Those familiar with Tarzan will know that his birth name is actually John Clayton. It was his, for God's sake, what's going on with OBS? Yeah, there we go. Mic froze for a moment. Not sure what's been going on. Uh, yeah, so Tarzan's real name is John Clayton, same name as his father. And I hypothesize that might be why Edgar Rice Burroughs never did a crossover between Tarzan and John Carter. He did a crossover between Tarzan and the Tarzan series and the Pellucidor series, but never the Tarzan and the Barsoom series. I mean, Dark Horse Comics had to do a crossover between uh, the Tarzan series and the John Carter series. How was it? Well, it's good. I like the post-World War II setting on Earth, if I recall that being the setting. It's an interesting contrast to Tarzan and Carson of Venus, where it's set during, where the Earth setting is during World War II. So you can imagine that it's a sort of a sequel to Tarzan and Carson of Venus. Tarzan's met one of Edgar Rice Burroughs' uh, space heroes, alien planet heroes, and now he meets another. Yeah, uh, the comic book crossover with John Carter and of course the one with Carson of Venus are are reasons why I'm choosing to put my Jungle Adventures story on a different planet. Put in a bit of planetary romance. Well, I can't do Mars, can't do Venus, so that leaves Mercury. Yeah, and of course with the Pellucidar bit, have it be at the core of, at Mercury's core, an inner world, but instead of it being beneath the Earth, it's beneath Mercury. Oh, jeez. Oh, right, forgot to put my armor on. Yeah, something I find amusing about visual adaptations of the John Carter of Mars stories would perhaps have been the depictions of the white apes. Uh, Huge anthropoids with an extra set of arms. Everyone else depicts them as is. How did Jesse Marsh depict them? He just quite literally took the apes from his Tarzan, the same design he was using for the apes in his Tarzan comics, and colored them white. No extra arms or anything. Yeah, talk about lazy. I mean, I love Jesse Marsh's work. Um, the 3 John Carter comics he did, very faithful, have some deviations, but it's as much as can be done in the amount of space he was given. He adapted 3 books and 3 issues, meaning each book got an issue. 1 single issue to be adapted into. Years later, Gold Key would do something similar with some of the Tarzan stories. Tarzan of the Apes, The Return of Tarzan, The Beasts of Tarzan, The Son of Tarzan. Oh, they were all Each story was adapted in a single issue. After that, the majority of them would be two-parters, and on some occasion three-parters. You know, multi-parters, something that makes sense. I mean, I love those ones, but you've got them being compressed. You've got the stories being compressed into a single issue. I think one of the last issues of the Gold Key run was Tarzan and the Lion Man, which I'm sure sounds interesting, but and the story is good, but it's not like he meets a man who was raised by lions or a man who's half man, half lion. What have we here? A pyramid? Let's take a look. Someone building this, or has it been, or is it being ransacked for parts? So as I was saying, the plot is a Hollywood film crew comes to Africa to shoot a picture on location. The film is titled The Lion Man. And the titular character is a guy who was raised by lions. The actor playing the Lion Man is an athlete named Stanley Oborski, no, I'm not gonna check right now. I have read the book, but I'm not gonna go check right now. And the thing about Stanley is that he's a complete coward. So we've got a dead ringer for Tarzan who's a complete coward. And a lot of this entire book was written due to Edgar Rice Burroughs' hatred of the Tarzan movies that MGM was making. Yeah, Stanley is an athlete just like Johnny Weissmuller was. What can I say about the Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies? The most charitable thing I can say is that they have good set design. Otherwise, they're just glorified B movies. And of course a guilty pleasure because, well, as I said, they've got good set design. Yeah, there's been better screen adaptations than the Weissmuller films. The 1918 film starring Elmo Lincoln, as an example. Uh, uh, for the post-Weissmuller era, I recommend Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes. I also recommend Tarzan and the Lost City, and of course The Legend of Tarzan. Oh, come on! Are you kidding me? These things are relentless. I can't go 3 feet without encountering these things today, can I? Yeah, one of the worst decisions the writers at MGM had was turning Tarzan into a simpleton with his, oh, me Tarzan, instead of having him be intelligent and able to speak properly like Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote him. Excuse me one moment. Okay, charger's plugged in. Let's carry on our array. I remember when the Disney film was coming out. It's an okay movie, not the best screen adaptation, but it's okay. I mean, even Golden films did better. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because it's Golden films for crying out loud. Well, anyway, I remember when the Disney film was coming out, my dad and my grandpa sat me down and showed me these old Tarzan movies that were playing on TV. Tarzan in New York, Tarzan's New York Adventure, I guess it's actually called. You know, Johnny Weissmuller. Um, Tarzan's Greatest Adventure, Tarzan in India. Tarzan and the Valley of Gold. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I remember liking them. I mean, from what I saw of them. Only saw the last portion of Tarzan's New York Adventure. The last half of Tarzan's Greatest Adventure. I saw all of Tarzan in India. And only the first 10 minutes or so of Tarzan in the Valley of Gold before a lightning storm caused the power to go out. Of course, Tarzan in the Valley of Gold is an odd one. It was made to cash in on James Bond, so yeah, it's odd. The Down comics, which were done by Jesse Marsh, the Tarzan comics done by Down, which were drawn by Jesse Marsh, were a weird mashup of the original Burroughs novels and the MGM films. Thankfully, Tarzan spoke properly, he was intelligent. Yeah, so Tarzan spoke properly, he was intelligent. Cheetah, I think, only appeared once during the entire run, thank God. I hate that chimp. I mean, I hate chimps in general. I would not want to be in the same vicinity as a primate that can rip your arm off and beat you to death with it. Also, those things are cannibalistic, so if they'd eat the flesh of their own, yeah. Okay, there we go. If they'd eat the flesh of their own, then they'd probably eat the flesh of anything. And I question both the intelligence and the sanity of those who keep chimpanzees as pets. Oh yes, they're all so cute when they're young. But when they reach adolescence, males are going to be very aggressive. And they're going to continue to be aggressive into adulthood. There's a lot of animals I trust. A chimpanzee is definitely not one of them. I mean, if I were to do my own Tarzan series, like a animated series, I'd include Cheetah as a villain. Uh, both as a slam to the films that made him famous and, well, to portray a chimpanzee as they actually would be. The Gold Key comics, the Tarzan comics done by Gold Key, carried on a bit with, from where Dell left off before doing their own thing. So it was revealed that the film character of Boy is the same character as the literary character Korak. So instead of being Tarzan and Jane's adoptive son, he's their actual son. Uh, Boy being a childhood nickname. And the first Tarzan comics I ever read were the ones done by Joe Kubert for DC. They're wonderful. I mean, is there some errors? Well, yeah, caracals aren't classified as rare. They're classified as least. They're classified under least concern. Of course, I guess in the jungle they would be rare. Of course, what the difference is between a forest and a jungle, I have no idea. What is the classification? What separates one from the other? Caracones apparently live on plains, forests. They live in the plains. They live in the forests. Let's see, where else do they live? Okay, it inhabits forests, savannas, marshy lowlands, semi-deserts, and scrub forests, but prefers dry areas with low rainfall and availability of cover. In montane habitats such as the Ethiopian highlands, it occurs up to an altitude of 3,000 meters. So yeah, the Ericol has a wide range. Okay, let's okay, now, and the difference between a forest and a jungle is... A forest often has a dry climate, however, there are tropical forests and rainforests. A forest has many The word jungle is usually used to describe a tangled or overgrown mass of vegetation over a large area of land. A jungle usually has a tropical or humid climate. Okay, so yeah. Caracoons don't really inhabit jungles, so supposedly would be rare. Oh, jeez. Now, the reason I bring caracoons up is because they actually do appear in an issue of Joe Kubert's Run for DC. Well, one does. Unfortunately, it's shot quite early by a hunter. Yeah, one of my favorite animals, period, and it's treated like that. It's one of the reasons why I have an intention to treat the animals respectfully in my writings. I'm not gonna have a caracola be the first victim of of some maniac with a gun. And besides, I'm gonna with caracones being at one of with caracones being in the shadow of a cheetah. Yeah, I guess what's never appearing in any of my writing. A cheetah. Yeah, I get it. Cheetahs are fast and all, but uh, give it up for the little guys. Caracones are smaller, like servals, and they like their fellow cat, like it's overshadowed by servals. I mean cheetahs. The servals also get overshadowed. They're both smaller, and they do a lot of their hunting at night. I can count on one hand the number of works of fiction I've come across that have included caracones. Well, you have the Tarzan comic I mentioned. You have Kimba the White Lion, referring to it as a lynx. A dated term since caracones and lynxes don't belong to the same family, and they were called lynxes once upon a time, but as I said, they don't even belong to the same family, the same genus. They are cats, yes, but they do not belong to the same branch. Of course, I think that one of the reasons they used the lynx instead of caracal might have been the lip flaps for the dubbing. And of course, there's an episode of the Wild Thornberries that refer to it refer to them as caracal cats. No, it's just caracal. If you're looking for something that includes includes the name cat, wild cat, sand cat, jungle cat, and it didn't even look like a caracal. It lacked the black ears with the tufts. Oh, jeez. Why? Come on, sheep, give me your blood. There we go. Actually, if you like cats, I highly recommend the cat episode of the documentary series Eyewitness. I watched it with my mom and my cat Alex, and Alex was completely mesmerized. Ah, jeez. It's not a moment's rest, is there? There isn't a moment's rest, is there? Come on. What, is the traitor invisible or something? And it probably is. Uh, the children's story I'm working on, The Adventures of Alexander the Caracol. There's a total of two Caracons in the story. Well, yeah, two. You've got Alexander and Roxana, both hunting Caracons under the ownership of Cole Smith. Uh, I've made him younger. He's now 45 instead of 65. So he's no longer a veteran of World War I and the Allied intervention of the Russian Civil War. He's now a veteran of World War II. Uh, Theodore Bites, I've renamed and made younger. He's now 25, so no longer a fellow veteran like Mr. Smith is. The character is of Chinese descent now. Actually comes from China, and his name is Zedong Peng. He's a up-and-coming big game hunter and owner of a circus. Yeah, in 1952, but reality is unrealistic. I'm sure there's similar cases. And I figure if Cole is a quarter Irish, a quarter German, a quarter Algonquin, a quarter Native Hawaiian, I don't see why the human villain has to be white as well. Be it completely or not complete, be a completely different nationality or ethnicity, stuff like that. I went with Chinese due to the setting, 1952, so the Korean War's going on. No, that sounds a bit too political. Might think of something else. Might think of something else entirely. Might bring back the name Theodore Bites. How old is he gonna be? Oh, like I even know. Probably gonna put him back to 64 years. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I can't have him be Korean because the Korean War was fought between South and North Korea and their various allies. So that makes things a bit confusing. It would have. I don't know. Having some reference to a war that's going on is interesting. It's not a war story, but there should be reference to things that are going on in the world at the time. Might have Zedong Peng go, oh, because I share the name of two of the leaders of China, I get to be pegged as the villain. Is that it? Well, when he's being accused of something, I mean, regardless of what the character's ethnicity is, they would always have been Roxana's original owner. Uh, Cruel, abusive owner. And of course, our human villain's pet chimpanzee Beelzebub. Oh, jeez. I mean, it's pretty much. It pretty much says. I'm not sure if the character is going to need a completely different name. The idea with Roxana is that uh, Zedong Peng, or whatever I'll be calling her, Zedong Peng Theodore Bites, acquired her pre-named. So he never thought about renaming her. And that's the same with Beelzebub. He acquired this vicious beast named Beelzebub. And the interesting thing is, I hadn't always intended him to be 20 years younger than Mr. Smith. I just envisioned him as a tad bit younger. And one of Mr. Smith's students is actually of Chinese descent. I mean, there's about 40 of them, so I can't exactly remember the name without looking it up. Uh, she's of Chinese descent, and she's of British nationality. Mr. Smith's country house in Canada serves as both boarding school and Museum of Egyptology. And in 1952, he's quite progressive for his time. You've got people of all types of skin colors, all types of hair, skin colors, that sort of thing, attending school, but there's only 40 at a time, so there you go. Only 40. Jeez, I haven't even. I know that about 11 of them are British, of British nationality. Two of them are French, one of them is Pakistani. I know at least one of them is Canadian. I haven't actually assigned nationalities to the rest yet. I think one of them's Irish, another one's German. At the time the story starts, Mr. Smith is a widower. He's unmarried. Meaning his first wife has died and she's been dead for a few years. He's got a 6-year-old daughter named Hippolyta. What? And the caracal that preceded Alexander and Roxana died the previous year. Before the story starts, he died in 1951. His name was Darius. Mr. Smith's pets, if you want to call them that, include the black ruff Canute, the white shepherd Emma, the great horned owls, Herod and Cleopatra. He has an interest in falconry, but to set himself apart, he uses owls instead of falcons. And of course, you've got the stallion Peter and the mare Catherine. He's got a grand estate that he also uses as a nature preserve. Hi. No hunting. He's a former small game hunter. And really he only really goes hunting if there's a certain species on his estate that is getting to the point of overpopulation. You know, like there's not enough predators to go around to take care of it. I don't know. I'm not sure about the whole nature reserve thing. but I definitely know he doesn't allow poaching on his estate. He doesn't use a gun, he uses a crossbow. Hippolyta's mother was black, so her ancestry is quite diverse. I'm thinking her mother might have been of Zimbabwe descent. Right, geez. What was Zimbabwe doing in 1952? Was it a different state then? Oh, like I have any idea. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I've got in specific ancestries for Mr. Smith. Irish, German, Algonquin, Native Hawaiian, and for his love interest, who is 17 years younger than him, her name's Agrain. She's half Swedish. Uh, Damn, what was it? Mohawk, another First Nations tribe. I just can't, for the life of me, remember right now. Agrain's, uncle, also owned a caracal, a hunting caracal, by the name of Philip. Uh, Philip, like Darius, they're, they're, he's dead by the time the story begins, but the description I have of him is ugly and bad-tempered. Yeah, so should give you a good idea of what kind of an animal Philip was. The inspiration for Mr. Smith being around having the ancestry that he does actually comes from Jason Momoa, who has similar ancestry. I mean, he has the Irish, the German, the Native Hawaiian, and some Native American tribe, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. And as Mr. Smith lives in Canada, instead of Native American, it's First Nations, so there you go. Well, that's all for today, everyone. I'm Brian Croydragon, signing out. Stay straight.